Welcome to the Brainiate Show, where we talk about all things Salesforce, sharing the coolest features, solutions, and best practices to turn you into a Salesforce rock star. Here's your host, former attorney turned Salesforce consultant and trainer, David Giller.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I hope you are all doing well today. Happy Tuesday. I am super excited for today's show because today I am giving you a little bit of a behind the scenes view into some of the gear and some of the tools that I use on a regular basis to help me to be more, me and my team to be more productive, to do more within less time, to pull our hair out a little bit less, and also on, excuse me, on how to really look your best and reflect yourself in the best way when attending remote meetings, when working from home and attending remote meetings, because whether we like it or not, even those of us who are going back to the office are still attending meetings remotely. And there's a lot that goes into that. And by the way, a lot of people ask me on a regular basis. I'll attend a Zoom meeting sometimes with complete strangers. It's the first time I'm meeting them. And within the first couple of minutes, they're asking me all kinds of questions on, whoa, what's going on over there? Like, what, your thing looks different. Something about your setup looks very different. What kind of camera, what kind of microphone? Do you have a tripod? And is it a regular webcam or what? So I'm going to reveal a lot of that to you today. So the format of today is going to be a little bit different than normally. For those of you who have not, not attended the show previously, welcome. And let's move on with it. So I'm sharing with you my favorite tools for getting more done in less time. And as hit the wrong button there. And as I described a moment ago, I'm going to break it down into basically two different components. So the show is still broken down into three segments. The first segment is going to be the best gear for remote meetings. The second one is amazing productivity tools. And the third one is open Q&A. You could absolutely ask any question about any of the tools or any of the gear that I'm going to be sharing with you, but you can also ask any question that relates to Salesforce in general. So that's completely a fair game. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And by the way, one of the other things that I sort of want to call out before I go any further is the fact that a lot of the gear that I'm going to be sharing with you, that I'm going to be highlighting, I don't consider myself to be a cheap person. I do consider myself to be a frugal person. And I sort of want to call out that almost everything that I'm going to show you, when I initially started off exploring some of these things or using some of these things, I really went the less expensive route because I sort of felt that, you know what, I don't really need the best. I don't need the most expensive. Like, what I'm looking at is, maybe it's over and above what I truly need to manage my business to accomplish what I need to accomplish. And it took a little bit of time for me to realize that after opting for the lesser expensive version, and for each one I will talk briefly about like what I mean by that, I realized there are some downsides to the choice that I made for this thing, this camera, this lighting option, this whatever it is. And that's what got me to later upgrade and spend a little bit more money in some of the options that I'm about to show you. And part of the reason why I say this is because I'm going to be showing you some things that are not necessarily the cheapest, and you might be a little boogie-eyed in terms of, whoa, that's a lot of money. You don't necessarily have to purchase the ones that I'm suggesting. I'm definitely still saying that these are my favorites, and I will explain why I think each item is worth whatever the cost is for it. but I just sort of wanted to give you that heads up before I go any further. So without further ado, first segment, we're going to be talking about my favorite gear for remote meetings. And with that, the first thing that we're going to be talking about is the main lighting, the lighting that is in front of me right now. Now, what you're looking at, like even looking at it right now, some of you might be boogie-eyed. $200 each for a freaking light? It's worth it. So I started off with lesser expensive lights. I went to Amazon and I looked to see what is highly rated, which are the highly rated LED lights or studio lights that are affordable. Affordable meaning under $40 each. And I found them. And then basically once you get the lights and then you have to get the tripod and then you realize that the lights are too harsh, that you then need to buy a softbox. And if we're talking about two lights, because typically you need, for proper lighting, you need two lights. And by the way, I happen to have a green screen. I'm not using it right now, but I happen to have a green screen behind me. And with the green screen, I need two additional lights to light up the green screen so that there's no shadow on me. So for now, we're not even going to be talking about the additional two lights. So just two lights. And once you start adding up the lesser expensive lights, plus the tripods, plus the softbox, because if you don't use a softbox, the light is going to be too harsh. And you'll see when you experience it, it's too harsh. It needs to be softened up. And then before and after every meeting, you need to then go from behind the desk. You need to go around the desk in order to actually turn off or turn on the light or adjust it. It becomes a major nuisance. Now, I was still comfortable tolerating all of that. So I did purchase the cheaper lights and tripods and the soft boxes, even though each time it incrementally kept adding up to the cost. And I'm like, fine, I'll go around and I'll turn it off. Or I attached both lights to a smart plug where I can just either through a voice command with my Amazon device or a button that I can press somewhere, I can either plug it in or unplug it. That worked for me up until my granddaughter came, and when she's visiting, her crib is, and you'll see in one of the pictures that I'm about to show you, is on the other side of this desk. And at night, when clearly I'm not using the office or anything, but I have multiple tripods going, it became a major safety hazard where it was taking up a lot of the floor space where anyone could easily trip at night going in or out of the room to check on the baby. So that's where I decided I'm going to rip off the Band-Aid and get rid of those lights that I had before, and I purchased this. Now, one of the key benefits of this is, as you can see on the bottom over here, nope, wrong way, right over here, you see it clamps to the desk. That's the first thing. The second thing is because it's an Elgato key light, and as I'm going to show you soon, I use the Elgato Stream Deck. I can wirelessly control not only turning the lights on or off, I can control the yellow to blue spectrum of the temperature of the light. I can control the brightness of the light, and I can control each one independently. I can do that on my mobile device, I can do that from my desktop, and I can do that from the Stream Deck, which I'll show you soon. So in my mind, this ended up being, I was not comfortable making such an investment on lights, but it ended up being far better of a choice. And by the way, these lights don't need a softbox. It's basically, it's configured in a way where it just does not need a softbox. So the way mine looks right now, that's how it looks. By the way, the light that you see all the way, and you can see the crib over there, the light that you see all the way on the side next to the window, that's one of the lights. I also have a corresponding light on the opposite side of the desk, which is to light up the background when I am using the green screen. So that's how I am using these two lights, and I absolutely love them. Next, we have background lighting. And the reason why background lighting is important, initially I thought, I don't need background lighting. Who the heck needs it? I don't care to have funky lights behind me, to have funky colors or anything. But I realized, and if you look at any of my earlier YouTube videos, I realized that on camera, my skin tone either looked one of two extremes. Either like I was a dead zombie, or it looked totally saturated as if I'm wearing lipstick and makeup. And the reason for that, so I thought I have an issue with my camera or the software that I'm using or YouTube, or I had no idea what the reason was. And I realized that the reason for it was because of poor lighting. So the wall behind me, you can't necessarily tell right now, but the wall behind me, the color of the wall behind me is about the same as my skin tone. And when using just regular, if I'm not using any dedicated lights for the wall behind me, the other option is I could certainly have just taken out a can of paint, any dark color of paint, and paint the wall behind me any dark color, and I would have accomplished most of the same thing, but I didn't really care to do that. So instead, I found these relatively inexpensive LED lights on Amazon, and these work totally great. Now you might be wondering, why do you have both the strip lights as well as the floodlights? And I'll tell you. So for the strip lights, and by the way, this is what it looks like behind me. So what you see, that rectangular thing behind me, that is actually the green screen, which I'm not using right now, so it's totally down. Think of it as sort of an upside down window shade. So that is a hard case. I basically open the case. It's also made by Elgato, by the way. Basically open up the case and I just pull it up like an upside down window shade, just pull it up and it just stands up. So that's the green screen. So basically I initially thought that I can get away with just the blue light, which is the strip light that is attached to the green screen case, I should say. So I set that up and it works great, but the color of the light was not bright enough. So it was still, the wall behind me was still not enough of a contrasting color in order to achieve the goal that I wanted. So then I went ahead and I purchased the two floodlights that you see there, which I have them set to purple, and I don't really even care what color it is, but between the purple and the blue, it then ends up making for a nicer combination, a complementary combination of just any color behind me in order to make the wall not the same color as my skin tone. So that's really the goal of that. And the truth is, pretty much regardless of what scene you're in, what room you're in, when you are in a remote meeting, having the wall behind you or having the space behind you in a contrasting color will allow for any light that is in front of you to cast a natural looking light on your skin tone, and you will look much more normal than you would otherwise. Next up, we have the microphone. So initially I thought, I don't really need a microphone. Well, if you don't use a microphone, which most people don't in Zoom meetings, it's hard to hear them. It's hard to drown out the background sounds. By the way, you could absolutely use AirPods. You could absolutely use any earbuds. You can use any wired headphones similar to the ones that I'm using right now. These do not have a microphone in them. It's purely inexpensive earbuds. So you could use anything like that, absolutely, but also because I'm recording training videos and because I have a podcast, so I want to make sure that the audio is of better quality. And by the way, of the different microphones that are out there, this is not even considered one of the more expensive versions of a microphone. This is still considered a relatively entry-level microphone for podcasters, for example. This was a recent upgrade for me, by the way. Before this, I had what's known as the Blue Yeti, which is a very standard type of microphone for podcasters. And the reason why I switched to this one, also, you can see it's made by Elgato, is because of the integration that it has with the Stream Deck, which I'm going to show you soon, that all roads lead to the Stream Deck. Isn't that crazy? And some of you might be like, what the heck is a Stream Deck? I'll show you. So you can control a lot of things regarding the microphone through the Stream Deck. In addition, this microphone has one feature that is, to me, super important. I sometimes tend to be louder than I intend, and that can come across as being a little bit too harsh for people. My whole life, people have been saying, David, shut up and sit down. So apparently, this microphone has built into it, I don't even know what terminology is used to describe it, but essentially, if I start talking far louder than I need to be, it will automatically tone down my voice to equalize it a little bit more so that it's more normalized. And I probably needed something like this my entire life. So now that I got it built into the microphone, I'm good to go, and I don't have to take out an extra loan just to get the microphone. So this is the microphone that I use, and I absolutely love it. Next up, we have the camera. So I started off by just using a regular webcam. So by the way, if you're thinking my computer comes with a webcam, it's built into it, why can't I just use that? I will tell you I have no idea why this is the case, but pretty much every manufacturer for desktops and laptops have essentially cheaped out when it comes to the technology that they use for the webcam. It baffles me. It totally baffles me. But the resolution on the built-in webcam, I don't care who the manufacturer is for your device, but the webcam that comes with your laptop or desktop is, generally speaking, of terrible, terrible quality. So before I got this camera, I actually there on the side, and that actually is, I'll call it my backup camera. It's a Logitech webcam, and the Logitech webcams, generally speaking, are really, really good quality. But there's a major difference that you can see when using a webcam like that versus a camera like this one. And when I say like this one, this happens to be the one that I chose because this was very highly rated by a lot of folks who do like YouTube videos and video podcasters, etc. This is considered like a baseline entry level, lesser expensive, but really good quality camera. So I used just the Logitech webcam, and the major difference is as follows. On the webcams, on most webcams, maybe the newer ones are slightly different, but on most webcams, essentially everything is very, very crisp and very sharp. So the wall behind you as well as yourself. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's like a great feature, but it's insanely subtle, but it comes across as looking far more professional when you're creating, let's say, YouTube videos or training videos, etc., to have the background to be a little bit, a tiny bit blurry, more blurry than the sharpness of your own face. And having that depth of perception represented on camera is one of the reasons why, especially during the pandemic, companies like Zoom and Teams, etc., have integrated functionality to be able to digitally blur out your background to try to decipher your like body image, silhouette, etc., and blur out, give you the ability to blur out your background versus the foreground. It's to try to simulate the type of native out-of-the-box kind of functionality that you're going to have with a camera like this. So getting a camera like this was a big decision for me. It was a little intimidating, as much as I've always loved photography. It took a while to get used to it, so I had to watch some YouTube videos to even understand how to set up this camera. What kind of settings should I even have? And then it needs a separate tripod, which goes back to taking up floor space behind the desk. And so it escalates a little bit. But at the same time, I am very, very glad that I did. And by the way, many cameras, this is not the only one, but this particular camera connects to the computer through USB, which means when you connect it through the USB, the computer recognizes it as if it's a webcam. So you could just use this camera on a tripod, and on your computer, when you go to starting up a Zoom meeting, you can simply select this camera as your webcam, and nobody knows the difference, meaning your image will look a lot better than if you use the native out-of-the-box webcam or a regular external webcam, but it's insanely easy to use otherwise. I am looking at some of the comments over here. Oh, okay. You guys are making fun of me. That's fine. It's all good. Okay, so the next thing that I use is a teleprompter device. And what is this? This is basically, I'll use the word contraption. This is a contraption that you put over the camera on the tripod. And the reason for this, so I did not purchase. I For a long time I was watching videos of people talking about the glories, how wonderful it is to use a teleprompter device, and my opinion was, I don't freaking need to read a script into a camera. Like, I just don't need that. I'm not a newscaster. So I sort of just brushed it aside. And then I realized, particularly with the pandemic, I realized how, having Zoom meetings all the time, it's hard to make eye contact with people. You're even if your camera is immediately above your screen. So most of the time, as human beings, we're trying to make eye contact with the people on the screen. We're looking down. Or if the camera is to the side of the screen, we're looking on the side. We're not making eye contact. And I'm sorry, but meeting after meeting, day after day, month after month, when this is going on, it starts to actually impact the level of communication that you have with people. It's insanely subtle. No one will bring it up, but it is absolutely true. We are human beings after all. We were programmed to connect with other people through body language and facial expressions and eye contact, which is why I cringe every time I'm in meetings and people don't even open their camera. Like, I totally understand some of the reasons why. They don't necessarily want anyone to see their messy bedroom or whatever it is. They don't feel that they are camera ready, but it definitely has an impact on being able to connect with other people. The teleprompter solves that, because the teleprompter allows you, so forget about the scripting for a minute. I'll talk about that in a moment. The teleprompter allows you during a Zoom meeting to make eye contact with the people that you're meeting with, and you have a more real connection with them. So this device or contraption, all it really is a bracket with a mirror and a tray. And you need to put an iPad, or I should say any tablet, as the screen that goes on the bottom, where the image gets reflected on that mirror that is in a diagonal position. And then the black fabric that you see on the top, that basically goes over the camera so that no light is coming in, so that the camera can just look directly through the glass without impacting the image of what the camera is capturing. So I bit the bullet and I got a teleprompt. I got this teleprompter device, and it has totally changed the way my comfort level with, not only with Zoom meetings, but also when I am creating a recording for a YouTube video or a training video, etc. I can just throw my a Google Doc on the screen, and I can make eye contact with the camera. I can see the Google Doc where I have, let's say, the bullet points, the notes of what it is that I want to say, and I don't have to look aside. I don't have to do a million different takes, recordings of whatever content I want to record in order to create the video easily and painlessly. So I love this device. I'll show you what it looks like. So this is an image from behind of my tripod with the camera on top of it, and the teleprompter is there. And basically, I'm recycling an older, excuse me, an older iPad as my screen. So an iPad that I was otherwise not using, because basically it has very little memory to it, and pretty much you download anything and you run out of memory on an iPad. So I'm using an older iPad as my display. And then you might be wondering, how do you connect your iPad to be the display? Oh, by the way, this is what it looks like when I'm looking directly at the camera. So, and you can see I have one monitor to this side and another monitor to that side, but I can make eye contact directly with the camera during any meeting. I can see not only the people that I'm meeting with, but if someone is sharing their screen. Granted, it is a little bit small, and granted, as you age, it's harder to see things from further away. So sometimes I will leave, let's say if someone's sharing their screen, sometimes I will leave it in the iPad as the teleprompter, but other times if I really need to look closer, then I'll drag the screen of what they're showing over here on, onto one of the monitors on the side. But when I want to talk to them when they're just speaking and I don't need to look at the screen, I'm able to make eye contact directly, and it feels very natural. It doesn't feel like I'm staring into a camera. It feels like for me, it feels like I'm looking at the person who's speaking. Now, you might be wondering, okay, so how does the iPad get the signal? How is the iPad being used as an external monitor? I don't really understand. Well, first of all, if you're using a Mac, there is a feature called, I think it's called Sidecar. However, so that feature will allow you to wirelessly or wired, it will allow you to treat your iPad as an external monitor. However, and this is a big one, however, what it will not do, keep in mind, the teleprompter device has a mirror. And when you display your screen, you put it in the tray. I'm sort of pointing to the tray over here. When you put it into the tray of the teleprompter and you're looking at it through the mirror, it's completely not only upside down, but everything is backwards. So you need the actual display on the iPad to compensate for that. So Sidecar is not going to do that. So I tried initially. I did not want to invest in something extra, pay another $135 for a little dongle. But I realized that it was making me crazy, because even if, let's say, I'm in a Zoom meeting and I'm looking at the screen for Zoom and I need to share my screen, for me to navigate my mouse when everything is totally backwards and upside down, for me to navigate my mouse to find where it is that I'm supposed to click, it took me forever. People were like, David, are you okay? Like, is your computer okay? Like, what the heck's taking so long? So it was a real problem. I invested in this $135 and boom, iPad functions like a seamless. So I have 3 monitors, one over here, and one over here. So the one over here is the iPad. I can easily drag anything from one screen to the next, and it's seamless and it's wireless. So I can easily make eye contact. I can easily see things the right way. This was a phenomenal investment from my perspective. So I have over here a YouTube video where this guy shows exactly like what it looks like. You know what? I'll try to jump to the spot where he shows what it looks like without having that device. And so this is what it looks like when you don't have that device. Everything is upside down and backwards. But as soon as you put the device, see, this is what it was like for me. I'm trying to end a meeting. I'm like, I felt like I was drunk. But as soon as you have the device in, everything is flipped around. Boom, you're done. Everything is easily resolved. So it feels very, very natural. So I absolutely love this device, which is why I'm recommending it. Okay, next, studio controls. A lot of people ask, especially when it comes to the live show that I do or any of my YouTube videos, they ask, how do you get like your name to appear or the picture-in-picture stuff going on? It's all being done through Ecamm. I use Ecamm every single day, all day long, anytime I have my camera on. I'm using Ecamm right now in order to do the picture-in-picture. So it doesn't even have anything to do with the live streaming piece, even though Ecamm was made for live streamers. You can use Ecamm as a virtual camera. So for any Zoom meetings, when I say Zoom meetings, it could be WebEx, it could be Teams, it could be anything. You can use it for creating videos, just recordings of videos where you might need to share your screen. You might need to share your iPad. You might want to put picture in picture. You might want to have some overlays included on there. So pretty much anything that you see, for example, on the news where they have like a scrolling ticker on the bottom, or someone appears on screen and you have their name, or you want to put an animated GIF on the screen. You could do all of that stuff in Ecamm. I love this tool, and it totally, so by the way, when I first got it, I completely immersed myself in all things Ecamm to learn how to use it, to learn how to use the green screen, so that, and by the way, the reason why I have the green screen is so that when I'm creating a training video and I'm showing something, and this goes back directly to Ecamm, when I am showing something on my computer screen, but I want the computer screen should be the primary thing that takes up the maximum real estate on the screen. And I should simply be a floating head, like in the corner somewhere. That's why I use the green screen, and that's how I use the green screen, and that's why I use Ecamm to do it. And by the way, I can also do the same thing seamlessly with the iPad. So a lot of times I'm doing a training course and I'm describing like, here's how you can find a certain feature, here's how you can use a certain feature. But let's say if I want to describe the difference between roles and profiles in Salesforce, and how you set up roles in Salesforce, and how to even think about roles in Salesforce, I want to start drawing. So of course I could just open up my screen. I can open up Lucidchart or anything else and start drawing there. But it's so much easier to just take the iPad with the stylus and just start drawing on the iPad. So with Ecamm, I can do that as well. And it's just as seamless. Very, very cool tool. So I prepared this video over here. I'm not going to show you the details of it. You can figure that out. By the way, I forgot to mention, you can see on the very top of the screen, I put a URL. So if you want to learn more about any of the things that any of the tools and stuff that I'm showing you during this presentation, you can absolutely visit that URL and you can learn more about any or all of them. So let's talk about the Stream Deck. What is the Stream Deck? And at first I'm like, I don't need that. And even when I got it, I first got the smallest one. So this is what you're looking at right now is the largest one. That's the one that I have right now. When I first got it, I got the smallest one. I'm like, I'm not even sure I need this. I think after trying it, I might end up just returning it. And I realized this is a total game changer. This is a productivity like mastermind in and of itself. So the Stream Deck allows you to, with physical buttons, it allows you to, you can customize the buttons. You can customize not only what a button does, you can customize the icon associated to any button in order to open or close any app that you have on your computer, let alone if you're using any app or website that has any keyboard commands, and almost every app does, any keyboard commands, you can set up the Stream Deck so that a physical button represents a keyboard command, so that, for example, when you're in a Zoom meeting and you want to mute all of the participants because you are the host, all you have to do, you could certainly in Zoom, you don't need to use the Stream Deck. In Zoom, you find where that option is, and it might take you a good 20, 30, 45 seconds to find it and actually click on the button. Or you could simply set up a dedicated button on the Stream Deck where you simply press the button and boom, it's done. So the Stream Deck has all of these really, really cool options that you can set up for yourself, as well as there are lots of native integrations that some tools like Zoom, by the way, and Ecamm, by the way, have with the Stream Deck. So that's part of why I mentioned before, like the more expensive lights that I have in front of me. I have those set up with the Stream Deck where I can control turning on or turning off those lights. I can control the lights behind me, turning those on or off as well. I can control different things about the microphone all through the Stream Deck. And this is an incredibly powerful tool. Now, one other thing I should mention. You might be wondering, as it relates to the buttons, like this one has, I think it's 32 buttons, the one that we're looking at right now, which I have, it's right beneath me, right within arm's reach. You can set up it's 32 buttons. Think of it as 32 buttons that appear that are visible at any point in time. You can have on the Stream Deck folders and subfolders. You can also have what's referred to as profiles. You can also have pages on the Stream Deck. So I have mine set up where I have multiple pages scanning across. So I can click I dedicated the lower left-hand button and the lower right-hand button to function as pages to paginate through to find the different features or the different buttons that I've made available to myself. So even though there are only X number of buttons physically represented, virtually, you actually have an unlimited number of buttons available to you, which is insanely cool. So I'm just gonna spot around in here just to sort of show you, especially the screen where the software that it comes with that allows you to set it up. So this is the software where basically you set it up, and you have over here on the right-hand side all of these different options available. So let's say you just want to dedicate a particular button, let's say to open Zoom. And you can go here and you can drag from the right-hand side to take open application, and you drag it onto the side, and then you choose which application. You choose Zoom. By the way, with a profile, you can also set it up that when Zoom is the primary window application that you have open on your app, then it should automatically display all of the buttons dedicated to Zoom on the screen. So there's a lot of really cool functionality that you can do. In addition, you can also set up any single button to do what's called a multi-action. So one button could, for example, I'll tell you a real example that I have, anytime I need to join a Teams meeting. So I have a dedicated button where I press one button one time, and it will automatically turn the lights in front of me on, turn the lights behind me on, turn the ceiling fan on in this room, turn the spotlights off in the room, open Ecamm, open Teams, and open a special tool that I use to also record those team meetings. So all of those things happen with one button. Then, and by the way, oh, I also have it open Notion so that I can take notes during the meeting. After the meeting is over, I have another dedicated button to do the reverse of all of that, to turn off the lights, turn off the fan, to turn off Teams, to turn off the lights behind me, etc. So you can do a lot of it's really up to your creativity. You can do a lot of crazy cool things with this. All right, let's move on. I want to be sensitive to the time. By the way, if you haven't noticed, for pretty much any of these things that I'm showing you, I could talk forever about just one of any of these different options. So I'm going to try to keep it brief. Let's talk about screenshots. As a Salesforce professional, as a Salesforce admin, you need to be taking screenshots and you need to annotate the screenshots. Someone is saying, I don't understand. When I go to the opportunity screen, I don't see the blah, blah, blah. Well, all you have to do is grab a screenshot. And of course, you can take a screenshot natively without having any separate app. But to be able to take a screenshot and then some things you might want to blur out on the screen, maybe just because it's irrelevant or maybe because it's too sensitive for that person to see. But other times you want to be able to have a big bold arrow or circle or square highlighting certain things. So Snagit is a freaking amazing tool in order to do that. By the way, I set up a button on my Stream Deck so that when I have any particular window open and I need to grab a screenshot, the keyboard commands for Snagit are a dedicated button where it'll automatically open Snagit, do those keyboard commands, and all I have to do is grab that screenshot and boom, I have it open in Snagit where I can add the whatever annotations I need. Very, very powerful and flexible. I'm not going to show you anything about that video. So the next one, some of you have heard me talk about this quite a bit. I can't say enough amazing things about this tool. I use it every single day. I rely on it all the time for a lot of different things. Video and audio editing. So I use Dscript. So what Dscript does is, let's say you just had a Zoom meeting with some business users and they talked about their business process or what they need from Salesforce or what problem they're having or the things that they want you to be able to do during the Zoom meeting. You want to be able to concentrate on the meeting. For me, I want to concentrate on the meeting. I try to take notes, but I know I'm not going to capture everything. So I take the recording, I throw it into Dscript. And then what Dscript does is, this one I'm going to show you a little bit. I'm going to poke around a little bit to show you. So basically what it does is it will convert once you upload the video, it will convert the video it'll generate a transcript. And then you will also see, so you can see over here where it's grayed out, where it shows that there's 3.3 seconds of silence until the next thing is said. And here it's showing that it's got 4.4 seconds of silence. Well, if you or anyone else have to rewatch that video, you don't need all of that downtime in the video. Like maybe someone was looking for the spreadsheet to open. Maybe someone said, hang on 1 second, I gotta open the door, I'll be right back. You don't need any of that in the video. Well, with Dscript, you press one button and all of those silent gaps can be trimmed out and disappear. Also, you can see over here where it's highlighted, where it shows so any filler words, and I know in this video he actually does show it. So any filler words, all you have to do is basically press a button and, oh, here he shows, hold on, let me hit play over here. Here he's going to show how to get rid of all of those silent shorten word gaps, and then you decide for yourself how much time it should look for. So you could say longer than 3 seconds, longer than 0.5 seconds, whatever it is, and then trim it to whatever amount you want. You can also search for that gap in order to confirm before you delete it that you actually want to delete it. The filler words that I mentioned before, when someone is watching a video, you don't need to see or hear all of the ums, likes, you knows, let alone if you're creating a training video for your users. With Dscript, you can simply press a button and it will automatically delete all of them. You sound way smarter in your video. What Dscript also does is it will allow you to edit your entire video and audio by simply editing the transcript. So you're editing it as if it's a Google Doc, and it's automatically removing whatever words you've selected. It's automatically removing them. It will also allow you to cut and paste the transcript, export the transcript into whatever you want. It will also allow you to use the transcript to create captions for your video. So if you're creating a video for others, teaching them how to do something, you want to be able to put in captions for those who are hearing impaired so that they can keep up with whatever it is that you're showing in your video. Again, I could talk about Dscript for many, many hours. I'm going to stop there because there's more that I want to show you. So the next thing that I want to show you is Notion. Many of you have heard me talk about Notion, so I'm not going to talk too much about it right now. Notion is a phenomenal tool to track your projects, your notes, your tasks, your own learning experiences. You come across a particular article, someone asks you to follow up on a couple of things. You can use Notion for all of these things. I love, love, love Notion, and pretty much everything that I've learned about Notion, I've learned from this guy right here. His name is Thomas Frank, and he's got some amazing YouTube videos to teach how to use Notion. Brilliant, brilliant guy. I feel stupid every time I watch any of his videos because I have to watch them over and over again just to fully unpack and understand everything that he's talking about. So really great stuff. Next is Jasper for AI copywriting. If you've ever had to put together an email or a social media post, or you want to write a blog article, or you're preparing a presentation and you're struggling to find the right words to say. So Jasper is, think of it as a robot where you can have it be your writing assistant. I absolutely love this tool. I use it on a regular basis. This tool has lots of different templates that you can use in order to, you can put in something like, I want a blog outline. I want an outline for a blog article that I want to write or a presentation that I want to do on the following topic. And it will give you lots of options of different outlines of what you can put in. You could put in something like, I want a video script so that I can teach people how to keep their data quality clean, how to improve their data quality in Salesforce. I want to write a blog post, so help me write an intro paragraph for a blog post for Salesforce professionals, teaching them how to improve user adoption. Jasper can help you with all of these things. So think of it as having a digital writing assistant right there at all times where you can use it in order to help you get the words out in the right way that actually represent what you want to communicate. Next up, for AI research. So what I'm talking about here is, let's say you are preparing to do a presentation for a local user group. You're looking to do a presentation for internal users to teach them, let's say, like best practices on how to keep your data quality clean in Salesforce, or best practices on how nonprofits are using Salesforce, or how to start a career in the Salesforce industry. Well, you could simply use Google to do your research, or you can use a tool like Phrase that will expedite the process exponentially. So basically what this does is it will do the Google search for you, but it will bring all of the results. It will list out the articles and the summaries. It will give you all of the URLs for the top articles. It will tell you all of the keywords and related keywords for all of the top articles that it found. It will give you all of the headlines and subheadlines in each of the top articles that it found. It will show you also the related questions that people often ask about that topic. It will do all of those things in like under 5 minutes. It's crazy, crazy cool. And I absolutely love this tool. You know what? I'm not going to show you this because there's more that I want to show you, as you can see on the top of the screen. And I need to be sensitive on the time. Canva, for those of you who, if you ever needed to create any type of graphics, any images for, it might be for marketing purposes, it might be for internal communications, it might be for training purposes, you need to create some type of visual graphics. You may or may not be involved in your company's social media outreach or email marketing campaigns. Canva is an incredibly powerful tool that allows you, without having any graphics background whatsoever, to leverage templates and use easy to access features to quickly customize any type of images that you need to use, maybe for your company's social media banner, for the banner images of your company's social media accounts, or you have a bunch of quotes that you want to highlight or products that you want to highlight. Maybe you're rolling out Salesforce Experience Cloud and you need to have some custom images and specific dimensions that also match your company's brand, the color scheme, the fonts, etc. You can do all of that in Canva. So I and my team rely on Canva heavily. Absolutely love, love, love this tool. Don't have time to show you that video, so I'm going to share with all of you the link to this presentation as well, if you're interested in seeing all of the related videos that I have here. Let's talk about sales and marketing funnels. ClickFunnels. I don't even remember how I stumbled on ClickFunnels, but I am so glad that I did. So ClickFunnels basically allows you to have any type of, it could be for lead generation, it could be from a marketing perspective, it could be from a sales perspective, it could be a contact us form, signing up for a webinar. All of you who have signed up for this live show, you've all used ClickFunnels. Believe it or not, you've all used ClickFunnels in order to sign up for this live show. And this is an incredibly easy to use drag and drop functionality, super powerful tool with tons of templates. Not only templates of landing pages, templates of funnels. Funnels as in, what is the first step in the funnel? And then what is the second step in the funnel? And then if someone does X, do you want them to go into another part of the funnel? And ClickFunnels also integrates with a lot of different tools. By the way, in case you're wondering, I thought I dropped my water bottle. I thought it was open. Oh my God. In case you're wondering about the integration with Salesforce, it integrates with Salesforce through Zapier, but natively it does not have a more native integration with Salesforce. But I integrate it with Salesforce through Zapier. Not a big deal. Super easy to do. Very, very powerful tool. I absolutely love ClickFunnels. Next, I want to talk about Zapier. If you're not already familiar with Zapier, Zapier is a tool that will allow you to connect a multitude. And by the way, there are other competitors to Zapier. Zapier happens to have, I think, the most robust portfolio of other apps that are available to connect to each other. I use Zapier quite a bit, not only for myself, but for a lot of my clients. If they have different various cloud-based tools that don't have a native integration with Salesforce, more often than not, I will turn to Zapier. Of course, you could just have a developer build a custom API 100%, but it might be more worthwhile to set it up in Zapier. And for those of you who are not used to using a tool like this, it's similar to Process Builder or Flow in Salesforce. You define the logic. When the following happens in this app, go ahead and do the following in this other app. It's really not that big of a deal. Very, very powerful, very cool stuff. Here's an overview video on Zapier. Okay, and now let's get to any questions that you guys might have. I heard a lot of dinging. So let's see what you have over here. All right, I'm gonna go backwards a little bit and okay, lots of comments, but I'm not really seeing any questions. Juan, you're making fun of me for, here we go, lower please, very cute. And you guys who decided to convert it into Hebrew, thank you, I appreciate that. So Joel on the camera, I'm telling you, like, honestly, for everything that I showed you guys, feel free to go with the lesser expensive options and not even the ones that I showed you. You need to sort of justify for yourself that getting the more expensive option is worth it. I don't want, even for myself, I don't want anyone else or myself to sort of feel that I sort of got suckered into buying something that's more expensive or more powerful than I need. So I totally encourage you to do the same thing regarding any of the tools that I showed you. So for example, ClickFunnels, I talked about that. There are lots and lots of options available to create web forms, or web forms that integrate with other things. Web forms where you can just build a sequence of when someone fills out this form, then automatically send them to that form or something else. None of them are nearly as powerful as ClickFunnels. And ClickFunnels also has an amazing community and library of resources available to you to get up and running very, very quickly. So I just wanted to sort of call all of that out. Ike's comment on, yes, the Elgato lights, it was hard for me to pay so much money. And again, I have two of them. It was really hard for me to bite the bullet. But from my perspective, I just had to think of it. Again, for me, the catalyst, like the straw that broke the camel's back, was the crib that's right behind the camera, and like people are going in and out of the room, you know, when it's dark, and tripping over the legs of the tripod. I was like, no, I just can't do this. Okay, Kevin's comment about the teleprompter. My dear friend Shelley was the inventor of the Wow, that's very cool. That's very impressive. Okay, I don't think there is. Oh, CG has a question. I have a Zoom integration question. Maybe it's Zapier. We want to connect Zoom with our Salesforce. They want to keep track of people who registered if they are in contacts yet, and maybe even make them all into contacts. So this is where, honestly, this is where I would recommend. It sounds like you're using the Zoom webinar functionality for people to sign up to the Zoom webinar. Excuse me. What I would do instead is I would use a tool like ClickFunnels to create, first of all, a branded, customized, really nice looking landing page for people to sign up for the webinar. And you can also qualify them. Excuse me. You can also qualify them through the types of if you want to, or ask additional supplementary questions through ClickFunnels. And then with Zapier, you basically take the input of what was brought in from ClickFunnels, and you don't even have to use Zapier. You can just export from ClickFunnels. You can, excuse me, you can export. I'm still getting over being sick. You can export a CSV from ClickFunnels, import it into Salesforce. You don't have to use Zapier for that, and boom, you're done. You know exactly what they signed up for, and you can then later track the attendance based on the metrics that you have from Zoom. By the way, you can connect ClickFunnels with excuse me, with Zoom, so that anyone who registers, they're automatically registered to the Zoom webinar. Sorry about that. That's how I would handle it. I would not use the native webinar registration functionality that Zoom has. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents on it. Okay, I don't see any other questions, so we're going to wrap this up. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope you got some value out of some of the tools and gadgets and resources that I use and love. And have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.